Passengers for flight 1685 to Frankfurt. Immediate boarding please at gauge A9.
Last year, more than 30 million North Americans went on vacation. That's what the travel magazine is all about. The Travel Magazine is a series of 26 shows, highlighting a wide variety of travel destinations from around the world and offer the kind of insight and background information that people are looking for. Each episode of the Travel Magazine opens up a new world to viewers. Visit the exotic Aboriginal tribes in Australia's outback. Discover Israel's ancient history and enduring traditions. Step back in time as you experience everyday life in Egypt's countryside. Appreciate the art and culture of Europe's finest cities. People say that a trip on the Orient Express is one experience that lives up to all your expectations. Will we be traveling in the company of secret agents or royalty? We'll never know. But we're about to spend 2 days and a night living out a fantasy. These magical sights and sounds draw you into another world, the world of rhythm and mystique. Okay, well, I'm always willing to try something, so let's do it today. What's this thing? And they'll dare to try anything new at least once. The Travel Magazine is right where the action is, covering special events and talking with special people.
It's fabulous. I want to race across one side of Canada to the other, just like this. We've got to put a few luxuries on the sled, though. There's no fridge there to keep the caviar cold, and there's no room for a champagne bucket.
There's the beauty and the magic of the countries themselves. Every week, the Travel Magazine captures different destinations and brings them to life. There's the excitement of international cities. There's rich storytelling, history, and art.
there's action. And there's the kind of fun that can be enjoyed by the whole family. The Travel Magazine. It's credible, it's fun, and it's informative. It's the guide to world travel.
On this edition of the Travel Magazine, we will take you to the Hawaiian island of Kauai, but first to the southern Louisiana city of New Orleans. Is a large metropolitan city that is a melting pot for many races and cultures. Hi, I'm Jake de Boer and welcome to this edition of the Travel Magazine. The city is a remarkable collection of neighborhoods that are as separate and distinctive as if they were separate towns and villages, with the most famous being the French Quarter.
Mystique about the French Quarter, that so many tourists come to town and they go down there because you have so many different things. We have so many different types of food, so much music. You have the different architecture of the city down there. It's like you have the old and you have the new. And it's intriguing to visitors. The Garden District is just a wonderful old district. We still have a lot of antebellum homes, homes that have been in families for years. The architecture has been retained through all the years, and the homes have remained as they were back in the 1800s. The people that live uptown take great pride in keeping their homes as they were originally built. It's a wonderful area. You can take the streetcar, as you know, down St. Charles and see several of the homes and get off and walk in some of the areas that are down there.
My name is Willie. My mule name is Clara. Clara do the walking and I do the talking. All the streets in New Orleans that named after a person are streets or royalty. They are named after some famous person from France. Now this is Bourbon Street, Bourbon. We're going down Bourbon. Over to our left is Al Hurt Jelly Roll Club. This is Al Hurt. It's the most famous street in New Orleans. And what makes it the most famous is lounges. Except for instance, over to our right is the 5-4 Club. It is not a strip joint, but they have good entertainment there. So things like that would make Bourbon Street the most famous. We're headed to St. Peter Street, St. Peter. On the corner here of St. Peter's and Charter, we have the Cabildo. The Louisiana Purchase was signed on the second floor of this building in 1803, the Louisiana Purchase. That transferred the vast Louisiana territory from France to the United States. We have a lot of art galleries and antique shops, and New Orleans is noted for their art galleries and antiques.
Probably the reason most people come to New Orleans is food and the music, but a close third is antiques. It's what New Orleans is becoming especially known for. It's one of the 4 great antique cities in the world. We're a broad antique store that specializes in a lot of things, but one of the collections that we just purchased are these walking sticks that just came in that are quite special. This is a sword cane, and obviously quite rare, one of 3 or 4 known like this with the Toledo blade. Well, this is much more ladylike right here.
Ladylike.
This one right here is much more ladylike. This cane right here is probably the only cane that was ever illegal from the day it was made. It has razor blades on it. And this was used during the French rioters in the 1830s. Both ladies and gentlemen wore canes. They didn't use them, they wore them, just as you wear a tie or, you wear a blouse. Yeah. They wore a cane. It was part of their daily outfit. Now this is a lady's cane, an extremely rare one. Used by ladies when they didn't want their makeup to melt when they were standing next to a fire. This is a very rare one, used to walk dogs with. And of course when you wanted to call your dog, dog whistle.
Yeah, I think you can use it.
You'd like that, eh?
Takes a second to set up, but it's worth the time it takes.
Okay.
These are called system canes or gimmick canes or gadget canes, but this is, of all the canes ever made, this is the premier example of a gadget cane, and thus the most expensive, of course. And it sold for $19,500.
When? Just recently?
Yesterday. You put it up and...
Can I give it a try?
I'm sure you can do better than I.
We'll be back with more of the Travel Magazine right after this, so stay with us.
You look down Raw Street, you see a lot of balconies, straight down Raw. I call it a street of balconies. Those railings came from the Spanish. It's the Spanish influence on the city of New Orleans, those railings. This is the Great Preservation Hall. This is where jazz began. Greats like Kid Osborne, Louis Armstrong, and Jelly Roll Martin got their start there at Preservation Hall. It's not a fabulous lounge or anything, but you will enjoy the jazz at Preservation Hall.
Eating in New Orleans is a bit like eating in a foreign country. Creole and Cajun are one of the oldest cuisines in America, And like most of the other charms in the area, they owe their uniqueness to the rich culture in which the city was born.
Welcome to New Orleans and the New Orleans School of Cooking. And this is like home. When we have parties at home, if you look in the living room, you see acquaintances. But in our kitchens, this is where our friends gather. It's all about food. I stuff people for a living. This is our soup here in Louisiana, gumbo. Gumbo actually got its name from okra. Here we have some okra here. But the main flavor of the gumbo comes from making a roux, cooking flour and oil. So I made a nice dark roux, onions, celery, and green pepper, what we call Trinity. We cannot cook without garlic. If onion, celery, green peppers are Trinity, this is the Pope. Can you get that? Can you guys get that? You guys?
This smells awfully good.
Yes. So you can't do this in Mika's kitchen because she likes it nice and neat.
I'd get thrown out,
with the French bread. And look, wait, hold on. We have to get some bowls and a ladle. You know, the thing about Louisiana cooking, if we can catch it, if it walks, flies, swims, anything can be good if it's cooked right. When you're walking around New Orleans, you don't find skinny people. Skinny people blow away on windy days. You see, what happens if we don't eat every 5 minutes, we get delirious in Louisiana. We lose our minds. See, this is credibility.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
No question
yes,
about
yes.
it.
See, I have a diet plan operating called the NSU diet. Next size up. See? This is very simple diet plan. Just next size up. This is how we eat here. This is a rice dish, jambalaya. I mean, rice dishes, risotto, bog, makgeolli, arroz con pollo, paella. In Louisiana, we call it jambalaya. Cajun cooking, simple, basic, everything in one pot. See, that's the great thing about Louisiana food. It's not pretty food. And desserts, in France, they took almonds and dipped them in sugar to eat as dessert, to aid in digestion. Once here, couldn't find any almonds. So the chefs took and cooked the sugar mixture and put pecans into it and called it pralines.
Pralines.
Pecans, you be calling pecans.
Well, this is a nut for culinary purposes. It's called a pecan. This could go next to the bed for emergencies. And then you would call it a pecan. If here someone offers you a slice of pecan pie, leave. Now I made one for me. See, the doctor told me to cut back and only eat one praline a day. So this is mine here. See, that's super. So you can make them as big or little as you want. We do gumbo, we do jambalaya, we do bread pudding, we do pralines, everything from scratch. And it's a way for folks to come in, learn about our lifestyle, not just learn the food, but learn about our lifestyle.
The people in New Orleans years ago were very poor, especially during the streetcar strike around 1914. So there were two guys, Benny and Clovis Morton, and they got together and made a sandwich. They used a whole loaf of French bread because it was very economical, and they sliced it down the middle. And then they filled it with tomatoes or roast beef or whatever they had on hand. And every time somebody came in who was poor, they'd scream in the back, "Poor boy," and they'd make them the sandwich for 10 cents. Lagniappe is a very famous expression in New Orleans. Lagniappe means a little bit extra. Years ago, people used to sell rice. They used to bring rice to the French market, and people used to buy it in sacks. And when they turned these sacks over, some of the rice would be stuck in the sacks or some would spill. So they'd simply throw a little bit of extra rice in a person's pot and say, "Here, this is lagniappe." It's kind of like the baker's dozen. It makes you feel good when you're thinking you're getting a little something extra.
What could be more pleasurable than being in the French market selecting the groceries. The people that live down in the quarter go there almost on a daily basis. A few of my friends tell me that they never buy anything to put in the refrigerator because it's too much fun just going down there and getting it when they need it.
Fais d'Odo is where you can go to a dance and have young people, old people, women, children, people of any age who love to dance together. And they eat and they sing and they dance, and it's come to be called a Fais d'Odo. And New Orleans, they like their coffee very, very strong. But for some people, it was a little bit too strong. So what they'd do is they'd cut it with about 50% milk. And it would weaken it a little bit and give it a sweet taste. So thus you have the name Café au Lait.
Tourism is our #1 industry in New Orleans now. It's over a $3 billion business. And we want to make our city wonderful for the tourists that come.
Beauty comes naturally to Kauai, Hawaii's principal island. It is blessed with a gentle maturity, making it the perfect destination for those who appreciate a slower pace with an abundance of scenery and history.
Waimea Canyon has for many years been one of the top attractions on this island of Kauai. Mark Twain many years ago referred to it as the miniature Grand Canyon of the Pacific, which it is. It is just a smaller version of what you see at the Grand Canyon. And as you go along the rim road and to the various lookouts, you can see into the canyon and all the beautiful colors. You have one of our very lovely beaches at a place that is known as Ke'e, protected by the reef formations, and so it's delightful swimming and snorkeling. And that is also where the hiking trail starts to go into Napali. And Napali means the cliffs, and they fall 3,000 and 4,000 feet right into the ocean. And in many of the valleys along the way, the waterfalls also fall right into the ocean. Now, taro is our equivalent of the potato to North Americans. The taro root is prepared, first of all, by boiling or steaming, and then it is ground into what we call poi. Now, poi is known as one of nature's most perfect foods. Even little babies that are allergic to everything else can exist on poi for 2 and 3 years, and just poi.
The beautiful resorts and beaches sit serenely below Kauai's magnificent rugged coastline.
We were rated amongst the 10 top resorts in the world. And because of the service, the ambiance, and the attention to detail was the reasons, the criteria that based us in the top 10 in the world. We're sitting now at the Princeville Hotel. It's 250 rooms. It's terraced in one of the most beautiful hillsides in Hawaii, overlooking Honolulu Bay. Our hotel is a luxury hotel. It's unprecedented in service, and our guests truly love it, and they return very often. Our lobby is one of the most expansive lobbies in Hawaii because it has a very commanding view of the ocean and of the mountains and of the waterfalls. We have 2 golf courses. Both courses were designed by Robert Jones Jr. The Prince Golf Course is rated #1 in Hawaii by Golf Digest magazine. Our ancestry dates back to some very famous ali'i royalty. So my heart is here, it has always been. My spirit will live and die here most likely because of the respect and tradition of my family.
When one thinks of Hawaii, the traditional hula dance and skirt making come to mind.
These are the tea leaves, spelled T-I rather than T-E-A. You can't make tea out of these.
What am I holding the string?
You're holding the string because we have to, that's the the base to tie the leaves onto in order to make the skirt. Okay, you see you have the rib there, and in order to tie this end around the cord there, you have to take the rib out. If you hold that string taut here, okay, then this goes around, and just like you tie a tie, you put it on there, and then the top of the leaf is where you get the tie there. The hula, of course, is one of the things that Hawaii is known for. But originally, the hula was a ritual dance and done only by men. After the ritual dance, then the men made their fatal mistake. Yes, it's true all the time. They taught the women how to dance. And as in anything, the women took over. Oh, The name of the song is Nani Hanalei. Well, you know all of this is Hanalei. And so you start out going to the right, and you're looking down on the valley. And then you tell about the valley as you make the mountains. Okay, let's try that. Here we go, one for free now. Just a wave. Nani Hanalei. O Hanalei kualoha, kanania o Hanalei. Hohi, now hug, hug. Aloha la, point. Hanalei no eka oe. There you go. And that means, Hanalei, you are the best. Okay?
Well, that's it for this edition of the Travel Magazine. From the island of Kauai in Hawaii, be sure to join us again.
Haina, haina mai ka puana, kanania o Hanalei, hohihi ana o e ku aloha la. Hanalei no